Well, the long break is officially over, and the MLS Cup playoffs are finally back. 2 to 3 weeks, depending on what your team did in the first round, whether they won the first two games or went to game three. It's been a long time in between matches, but we're right back into the thick of things. And the semifinals for each conference is back this weekend. So we are going to predict each matchup and who will advance to the conference finals in Major League Soccer. Hope you guys are excited to watch this. Hope you guys are excited for the MLS Cup playoffs because this is where the things really start to get interesting. Teams start to separate themselves. And also, have to preface this is single elimination. No more round of three or best of three series. No two legs. It's win or go home. So this is everything is on the line. You can't afford it to lose. And that's what makes the stakes and the intensity so high and interesting at this point in the season. So let's start off with the first matchup. Let's start off with San Diego versus Minnesota United. Now, San Diego FC is an expansion team, first year in Major League Soccer. They have exceeded all expectations in their first year. And a lot of people, including myself, thought they could make the playoffs, but it would probably be an uphill battle, and ended up being the first seed in the Western Conference, blowing everyone's expectations out of the water. And they win in the first round against the Portland Timbers. Now, hey, if you're enjoying the video, make sure you give it a like down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Our goal is to hit 12,000 subscribers by MLS Cup Final Day, which is less than 2 months away. A lot of exciting playoff games ahead of us, and we have real momentum, so I think we could hit that goal. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. Now, back to the video. Maybe a little bit more difficult than you would like for San Diego FC, but they were able to get the job done against a feisty Portland Timbers team, winning in 2 out of the 3 matches. And a lot of that has to do with Anders Stryer and how good he is as a playmaker and how dominant and how much he can take over a match for San Diego FC. And they're going to take on Minnesota United, who just beat the Seattle Sounders, who won Leagues Cup this summer. They were on fire until more recently. That was a very, very defensively oriented series, and Minnesota United got the best of them. We saw Minnesota United, they were down, I think it was 3-0 against Seattle Sounders, and they had a red card, and they ended up coming back after being down 3-0 to go to penalties and win that match to advance to the next round of the MLS Cup playoffs. Incredible comeback and a huge upset over Seattle, even though Seattle was technically the lower seeded team. A lot of people, including myself, thought Seattle had a really good chance of winning that round in the playoffs, but they didn't. They failed. They lost. So San Diego of Minnesota United is going to be a very, very tactically sound game. It's going to be Eric Ramsey versus Mikey Veras. And I think San Diego FC is going to win this match because they're able to score at such a lethal rate. And Anders Stryer is going to be the best player on the pitch. Now, Dane St. Clair has been the best goalkeeper in Major League Soccer in 2025. He was my goalkeeper of the year, and he ended up winning goalkeeper of the year. But I just think that San Diego has just too much firing power. And we'll see when Chucky Lozano, he missed a game. We'll see how he reacclimates and if he can become what we saw of Chucky Lozano at his best parts of the season in 2025. But I just feel like their attack just has so many scoring options that they should beat Minnesota. Minnesota doesn't really have that dynamic attack like San Diego FC does, and it's at San Diego FC. If we know anything in this first round of the playoffs, all the home teams, all the teams that had the home field advantage, won their series. The only one was New York City FC. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but all the home teams won in the first round. So I got San Diego FC beating Minnesota United 3-1 in the Western Conference Semifinals. The next match. Now, this match is probably the biggest match of the entire semifinal round. It's Vancouver versus LAFC. LAFC completely dominated Austin FC in the first round. Son Heung-min balled out, was incredible in game 2. Now, game 1 was a little bit shaky for LAFC. I would have liked to see more consistency. They won decisively, but at least on the score line, but they didn't play their best ball. If you've watched LAFC play this year, you just know when everything's firing on all cylinders. That game was a little bit sloppy, but they still won decisively regardless, but it wasn't their best game. So LAFC look like they could just be they're a force to be reckoned with. They're a very dangerous team. So they coast by in the first round against Austin FC, and then Vancouver plays Dallas for the now it's obviously the best of 3 in the first round, but this was the third time that Dallas played Vancouver, even though it was they won and swept them in the 2-game series because they played on decision day. So they played 3 games in a row, even though only 2 of them counted for the MLS Cup playoffs. But Vancouver got their revenge against Dallas, and they swept them 2-0. They are a very dangerous team, especially since they got Thomas Muller, and they were even good before they got Thomas Muller. They made it to the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. They are just a very, very deep team. And I think that this is going to be an instant classic. But here's the thing. This could be the deciding factor. You have Jesper Sorensen, who is one of the best managers in Major League Soccer. And Steve Cherundolo, leaves a lot to be desired as a manager. I think he gets outcoached tactically many times. He has, especially against teams like, when they play the Columbus Crew. Wilfred Nancy has, outclassed Steve Cherundolo. But it's going to come down to the superstars. Who's going to shine? Is it going to be Denis Bouanga? Is it going to be Son Heung-min? Or is it going to be Thomas Muller? Is it going to be Brian White? Is it going to be Ryan Gauld? Who is going to step up? Now, I will say this too. One of the disadvantages for LAFC is they have to go to Vancouver to play this match, and it's going to be on their turf, Vancouver. Now, if you haven't seen Vancouver's pitch, it looks like carpet, like literally looks like a rug. It's bad. It's one of the worst pitches I've ever seen. So it's not easy to play on that. It's going to be a tough game for LAFC. And this game, I honestly consider to be the Western Conference Final. Like, this is the 2 best teams in the Western Conference. They just so happen to play in the semifinals. This is going to be an instant classic match. And I think whoever wins this match is going to make it to the MLS Cup Final. Now, I went back and forth this pick several times. It's not an easy one to make. It's not easy because these 2 teams are very, very good. But I think I have to give the edge to LAFC. LAFC, when they play their ball, especially Son Heung-min and Denis Bouanga, they're unstoppable. You can't stop their scoring. They scored like 15 goals collectively, the 2, in 4 or 5 games. You just can't stop that if they are firing on all cylinders. And even though the Vancouver Whitecaps probably have a deeper, more well-rounded team, LAFC have the 2 best players on the pitch on their team. And they're the best duo in MLS, maybe the best duo in MLS history. So when you have that and you can take that in consideration, I think LAFC have the upper hand, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I think this game is going to be 3-2 LAFC over the Vancouver Whitecaps to advance to the Western Conference Finals. We will have San Diego FC versus LAFC, California showdown to see who goes to the MLS Cup Final. Now, moving over to the Eastern Conference, we have the first matchup, Philadelphia Union versus New York City FC. Now, Philadelphia is a team that I've been very, very hard on because they don't have that superstar player. They're just a very, very well-collected, rounded team. I was a little nervous about Andre Blake. Andre Blake's the GOAT in Major League Soccer. He's the best goalkeeper to ever play in the league, okay? But he got hurt this year. I had a lot of reservations about them. Now, Bradley Carnell's a very good manager. I didn't know if Jacob Glesnes or Kai Wagner or all these other players that have been here for so long was going to be enough because we've seen them come up short before. And a lot of times you need new players, new pieces to help. They traded Daniel Gazdag to the Columbus Crew, who had been a pivotal piece for this team for several years. I was very skeptical of the Philadelphia Union, but they took care of business. They absolutely destroyed the Chicago Fire. And I thought that was a series that really could go either way, or Chicago might have the advantage. They've proven me wrong, and they took care of business. They dismantled the Chicago Fire to advance to the semifinals of the Eastern Conference. And then on the other side, Charlotte FC and New York City FC. Charlotte FC was a team I thought could be a dark horse in the Eastern Conference because Dean Smith is such a good coach. Wilfred Zaha. Obviously, Kalina is just such a great goalkeeper. He was a goalkeeper of the year in 2024. And I think in MLS, when you have a goalkeeper who can play at a certain level, it can just give you so much of an advantage. Happened last year with Inter Miami and Atlanta United. When Brad Guzan was playing well with Atlanta United, that's the reason why they won that series. And so I thought Charlotte FC had this momentum, and obviously Pep Biel is very good as well. They have a lot of pieces, but when they lost to New York City FC, New York City FC is a good, scrappy team. I mean, New York City FC they're a team you cannot discount. They're not a team you can discount. They're the only team in the MLS Cup playoffs that was a lower seed to advance to the next round. They're the only team, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. Now, when we talk about the matchup between Philadelphia and New York City FC, I feel like I have to give this to Philadelphia because New York City FC just lost one of their best goal scorer, Alonso Martinez. They just lost him. He's going to be out till next year. That's devastating. Now, Nico Fernandez has been really good for New York City FC, and he was a big signing from Elche, but they just don't have the pieces to make up for what Alonso Martinez did. And Philadelphia is just playing really, really well team ball. So I have to give this to Philadelphia. I think it's going to be a really good series or a good game. I got Philadelphia winning 2-1. New York City FC. If they had Alonso Martinez, I think they'd have a real chance. But it's at Philly. They're healthier. They have a deeper team. I think Philadelphia is going to beat New York City FC 2-1. Now, another big matchup. Now, some people might consider this to be the Eastern Conference Final just because of the magnitude of each team. FC Cincinnati versus Inter Miami. Now, this is going to be a tough match for Inter Miami. This is the first time Inter Miami has ever advanced out of the first round. I mentioned earlier that they had obviously got bounced by Atlanta United in pretty embarrassing fashion last season. And they got a chance to redeem themselves, and they did. They took care of business, and they destroyed Nashville SC. And then on the other side, Cincinnati had some ups and downs this season, but still was good enough to finish second in the Eastern Conference. I have some reservations about Pat Noonan, but he was able to beat the Columbus Crew in a very, very tough first round in the Hell is Real versus Columbus Crew. And this is going to be a great game. It's going to be a very, very great game. I mean, I could go either way on this one too. Like, this is the good thing about these matchups. They're 50-50, honestly. Like, you're not picking, there hasn't been a single game where I'm just like, oh yeah, this team is just going to get destroyed or that team's get destroyed. It's literally a coin flip. So Miami has to go on the road and play Cincinnati. It's like I said earlier, guys, it's single elimination. You lose, you go home, right? You go home. So Inter Miami's got a tall task. Javier Mascherano's got a lot of question marks. This team lives and dies through Lionel Messi. When he's good, they win. When he's not necessarily bad, but when teams are good at containing him and forcing everyone outside to play better to win, it's not normally good because no one ever steps up and takes the mantle or the role of being that Robin to Lionel Messi's Batman, right? And Luis Suarez, it's funny, when he was out that last game, he actually looked better, and he's going to return. So I think that might actually be a net negative to have him back. But this is a tough one. And also Cincinnati, I have to mention, Evander has been incredible. What a signing from Portland that Cincinnati made. Of course, he was good at Portland last year too, but he's been incredible. And then Kevin Danke has been so. Like, he's been solid all season long for the most part, but he's had a little bit of a slump towards the end of the season. And when they did get Brenner, their former DP, back on loan, he's been very, very good. And having them up top together has been very, very lethal. So, man, this is tough. I'm telling you, this is tough. I think Miami is going to win this, but I think it's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be 3-2, which is funny because that's their seeding as well. It's going to be 3-2 Miami over Cincinnati, and it's going to be an absolute slugfest between both of these teams. But I just feel like when you have Lionel Messi, you always have the advantage. He's the best player of all time. We see that he still has it. He could still take over a game. He did against Nashville. And I'm going to take the maestro. When he's on a team, I want to take the team with the maestro. But Cincinnati's not going to be a cakewalk. They're going to have to fight them to come out of Cincinnati on top. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. We're going to do watch-alongs for 2 of these matches, the LAFC versus Vancouver and Cincinnati versus Miami. I can't do all 4 of them. I have a kid now. I got responsibilities. I have to take, I can't do 4 watch-alongs, right? But I will do the Eastern and Western Conference watch-along as well. I'm doing 2 of these still, Saturday and Sunday. So my Western Conference final, I have San Diego FC versus LAFC. Eastern Conference final, I have the Philadelphia Union versus Inter Miami. Both of these teams on each side are going to play to see who makes it to the MLS Cup Final in 2025. I want to know what you guys think. Who do you have winning each one of these games, and who do you have making it to each conference final? Or do you agree with my list? Let me know down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.